Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Here.
Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Mr. Cruz.
Here.
Dr. Malloy.
Present.
Okay, we did not have an executive session this evening, so we will move on to hearing from citizens. Senior citizens, we will move on to the meeting. The first item is resolution authorizing proposed preliminary budget display and advertising. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Municipal claims and tax lien resolution. Could I have a motion on that?
So moved. Second.
Any comments or discussion? Now, this is not the agreement that we have with someone outside the district to collect these taxes, correct?
This is the resolution that the board would need to take to allow us to outsource collection of delinquent taxes.
Yeah, okay, but this is not the agreement with them.
This is not the contract, no.
Okay, because that, I think, is further down the line.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Resolution directing Blair County Tax Claim Bureau. I have a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Any comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Superintendent's report.
I'd just like to congratulate all the new board members and welcome.
Board president's report. I just want to thank everyone for their support tonight and look forward to working together with the entire board. Thank you. Student.
Rachel.
Okay. Board minutes, can I have a motion for those?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or changes? All in favor? Opposed? Construction change orders. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Just have one comment, Jim. Just for record, for change order 217, that amount was reduced to $1,360. 1576.
Okay, that's the only change?
Now there's three here.
No, there's three change orders, but any other changes to the amounts that we have?
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. Get this one. On change order 218, it's to replace the door in the electrical room. Was that done by error? That it wasn't properly spec'd out to meet code?
That was an architect's oversight, yes. We installed a new door frame and 2 new doors. The doors had problem lights in them. That's it.
Having, you know, when you install a door with windows, they're more expensive than a plain door. Was that the case here?
I couldn't answer that. I'd have to look back and see.
Okay, since it was architect oversight, can we expect the architect then to be held responsible for this?
I'm not privy to the contract with the architect.
We're gonna have to deal with that as part of as the project progresses. This is the first, I would say, mistake which actually resulted in us. We own 2 doors. If we don't have another place to use those 2 doors, that the cost of those doors through the year, we have that cost of the doors to go back to the architect.
Could the door be returned? It was purchased
months.
Yes.
So we're dealing with, we may need other doors, and these might fit the bill, but you have to see how the project progresses to see if that's gonna be the case.
At this point, those doors will be turned over to the district at the end of the project, we're not used.
So I have a question on the whiteboard. I looked up the price of a whiteboard, and it ranged anywhere from $239 to $305, and we're getting two of them. So even on the high end, $610, and we're being charged $1,316. Now, I see they came down, but that seems very extreme.
Boards are priced out at $415 each. And then there was, 5 hours of labor.
To install whiteboards. Does that seem a bit excessive to you?
There's actually 4 hours of install labor and 1 hour for supervision. The superintendent, we had to do some work around, it originally called for an existing chalkboard to be covered with a whiteboard film. Early on, the contractor decided it was cheaper to replace the whiteboard because there's a joint in the middle of the chalkboard that would telegraph through the whiteboard. So at no cost change order, they installed new whiteboards instead of recovering the old ones. In this case, one of the walls that showed an existing chalkboard was not there. So, and because of the key location, instead of installing 114-foot, footers on either side. So by the time we get the board loaded, installed it, like I said, we did knock that down on the labor some.
But it takes 2 men, 2 hours to install 2 boards, so that gives you a total of 4 hours of labor.
You could clean up. Again, they started out at, I think it was 8 or 9 hours labor, that's what the original was. And that was twice the labor change order. We questioned that, it came down.
Question for 2 hours, that seems like a lot of time for 2 guys to board. Now, I'm not a contractor, so is that right? Does that seem normal?
It's in the masonry wall, you gotta drill it, volley it. Again, I mean, it's your choice.
No, I'm just saying, how many other things, you know, that aren't change orders can we look at? How much time is involved in what the project they were working at? You understand what I'm saying? If you question the amount of time it took for them to install whiteboards, what tells us that other things that they did maybe exceeded the amount of time that should have been used for that project?
We tend to look back on other work that they've done, that they priced out, and see if the labor hours are in line. It's not always accurate, but it's a guide.
So, if you find an accuracy, what happens? It took too long and we get our money back, or just leave it go? I'm just curious, because I'm not sure.
In this case, you can either unite a change order, or you can approve it, and we'll go after the tuning of the difference somewhere else.
What I'm saying is, what about other things that were done, other projects that were done with the new school and the renovation? The time taken to do those projects, is it the amount that should be done? Say there's a project you look at that should be 6 hours, and they charge you 12 hours. And I'm just saying, they don't check that on other projects.
Yes, that's what we do. We don't just rubber stamp these when they come through.
I'm just not talking about change orders, I'm talking about everything else, any other project.
The other work is contract work. I don't care how long it takes them, because they've already paid that one work. Okay, and I will say that there's been a lot of changes here, that the contractors and even Reynolds have spent a lot of time doing the design work. The problem
219.
Explain 219.
There is a humidifier, I can,
Go ahead, sir.
in the music, in the orchestra storage room, there is a humidifier. We have one here. The humidifier for the storage area needed to be relocated, and they had to re-pipe it to get it in the proper place, and that's what caused the change order. They changed the size, and then they changed the location to make it work in the room, and that's what caused the change order. It was the piping and everything involved with installing it in a different location.
Should an architect mess up?
Yeah, the original one that was spec would not fit in the space once we got into it. So the manufacturer took it back and made a no-cost change to the other one. But because we relocated it to maximize the space in that room, it did involve some additional piping and labor.
So who designed the original one? Was the architect
The engineer, yes,
or the engineer?
yes.
So should he be responsible for the cost of changing it since it didn't fit the room correctly?
That would be your decision.
Madam President, I have a question for Gary. Does the architect have insurance for mishaps with change orders?
Again, Ron, I'm not privy to their contract with you.
Okay.
Their contract is with Ford, not with Reynolds.
Thank you.
I've seen different situations where, sometimes they're responsible for things over 10%, but then the other flip side of that is, a lot of times when you charge that, then you also, if you have voter requests, they get paid for their time to design and lay out that change. And I believe that's the case with this truck, but again, I'm not privy to the contract.
I'm sorry, okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Are we about halfway through the project? Is it about halfway or not?
We're over halfway.
Yeah, we're over halfway.
So I think at some point, we should get all these change orders and get together and try to come up with a list. Because if we wait till the end of the project and pay them more money, we're not getting any money back. So I think before then, we need to come together, come up with what we feel they owe us back or what we're gonna argue about, and decide before the end of the project.
We've done all the background work on the change orders, and we can do that at the facilities meeting next week.
So what you're saying is let's get a list together of where we're at.
We've got all
Well, what
that.
we think, maybe we should wait to get some money back or before we give them more money.
I agree.
12.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? I'm opposed to 217. Okay, moving on. Our consent agenda items. Could I have a motion? And we're gonna go through them individually.
Make that motion.
Second.
Okay, list of payments. Any comments? Altoona School District Board Policy, final review. Elementary field trips. Secondary field trips. Junior high school ACA hours. Revised agreement with Springfield School District for AEDY programming. Approval of payments and obligations. This is just pertaining to November and December.
Just, our standard bill.
Okay. Volunteer list. Any comments? Child advocates lease, of space with W&J.
Question on that. I see that we did raise the rent on that, and I guess we've already evaluated it at this point, right?
Yes.
Because I knew that was discussion before.
We have been continually upgrading the rates that we've been charging.
Are we to a point where at least breaking even now?
can't say that off the top of my head, the spaces would be unused if they weren't in there, we are definitely recouping a chunk of our overhead on the space. You might have to have the classroom sheet. Susan, do you have that handy?
I can look it up. I don't know off the top of my head.
I can get it to everybody if it's all right. Just send it out.
Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, all in favor of the agenda items? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now, old business. I believe Mr. Malloy has something.
Yes, I do. Although not a board member for the November 12th meeting, I did come and speak to the board about my concerns with the fact that the district has a budget deficit of $6 to $9 million. And a concern that if we keep using our fund balance to pay this, to balance our budget, very soon that fund balance is going to go away. And as a future board member, I had a real concern that spending money as we are doing, the fund balance is going to go away faster than later. So at this meeting, there was approved the awarding of contracts that totaled almost $1 million. And I know Mr. Cruz, after the vote 5-3 to approve these, and these $1 million in contracts were to make renovations to the ISB building to be used for administrative offices. And Mr. Cruz asked the question to the solicitor, what would happen if the new board would then, 3 weeks later, reject these bids? And Mr. Beard was going to do some research, and I do believe Mr. Beard's not here, but my understanding is that
He's here, he's got to step up.
okay, my understanding is that the school district would be obligated to pay any cost that the contractors would have incurred during this time period. So what I would like to do is to make a motion that we, through our school board secretary, immediately notify all of the contractors who were awarded these bids to immediately stop work and to submit all invoices and costs to the school district for our evaluation. We need to do our due diligence. We need to make sure that this is the very best use of $1 million. And this is not only for the sake of our students, but also our taxpayers. And I think we as a board need to move forward with doing this kind of due diligence with every expenditure we make. A new building is great. It's going to be beautiful. But having teachers in that new building who are highly qualified, who are experienced, is going to make the education work there. So we need to do everything we can to preserve our good educational program in this district. And we do that by looking at our expenditures, not spending more money than we have. Last year, the district expended, from what I understand, $8 million from our reserve funds, and then an additional $5 million was put into reserve. But that also came from these reserve funds. So last year, our reserve funds were depleted by $13 million. So it means that they're going to go away real fast, and we better do something now to make sure that we're going to keep our good educational program in this district. So quit talking and just say that I want to make a motion to have the contractors immediately stop work and for us to evaluate all of the possible ways that we may deal with administrative offices.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Could we have a roll call?
I had a question,
You're
sorry.
still allowed for
Okay,
public
go
comment.
You got it.
You have to allow for public.
So, I attended board meetings out there for about the last year. I'm not privy to all the inside information on the due diligence that was done on that ISD site. I can say that I do think it's an awful lot of money, but I don't know, are you proposing, Dr. Wood, to just say stop? So
Let us
this
go.
board can take, so you're not asking, your motion isn't to eliminate, like
No.
say that's off the table completely. You just want to take a look and make sure we sharpen our pencil, if it, as it were, to make sure that it's financially the right decision.
Correct, and with administrative offices, we can temporarily house them until we make the decision. If things move along and it takes a bit of time to make this evaluation. But it's not to eliminate the bids, or, we may go back to the project if the board decides that's the best option to take.
So the bids are valid for 30 days, so by delaying this, that could invalidate all those bids, which then could come back higher if we decide that that was the way to go to begin with.
But by not delaying it, the cost could incur that, if you wouldn't have any choice, you'd have to move forward with it.
You would, yes.
So I guess my question is, are you inferring that you don't think that the old board did their due diligence on this project?
I'm not inferring that at all. I'm just saying that this board has to look at every expenditure and look at the information that the old board used, but also look at other possibilities where we could house administrative offices for perhaps less cost. Because we've already expended $710,000 and now this $1 million, and after change orders and so forth, we're probably well over $2 million.
I only have a little bit of a conversation between Carl and the architect. The concern is we would be responsible for lost profit, plus whatever their costs are up to this point. So you're probably looking at around about $250,000 worth of costs if we were to cancel the order or to cancel the project. The board wishes us to send a letter to cease moving forward. I understand that.
Not canceling. It's not a cancellation.
It's not canceling it, it's just giving us time. Right. And at this point, the way we have it set up, they were probably not gonna be mobilizing until January 1 anyway, so it'll give us some time.
So if they have incurred expenses, they're gonna have to prove that they have incurred those expenses.
They're gonna have to provide the receipts and materials of what we purchased.
Possibly they could be returned.
Their construction bonds, the expense of their construction bonds has already been incurred. That's done. The price of those is automatic. It's not like they picked up a load of 2x4s and they're gonna return it to the yard, they're gonna use it somewhere else. So there are some definite costs involved if the board chooses not to go forward with the contract.
Do we technically own that building yet?
Yes, we've owned that.
We do own it.
Right, all the money for that building was held in escrow following the board vote was it April or May to buy the building. So we own the building, ISB Bank is leasing it back from us.
But all the approvals aren't in that.
No,
Attorney has them.
the deed, they didn't send the deed until we finalized the lease. We finalized the lease, the deed should be coming. Basically, it's a matter of it being signed and finished. Everything else is complete.
But I thought I understood you didn't have the FDIC and the state approvals.
They already have the FDIC and state approvals.
They have them.
Right. No, they have all that. We don't need that. They have it. That's what gave them the approval to do the sale. Sorry if that was confusing when I spelled that out.
I guess my thought is that the administrative offices were originally in the new building. They were pulled from the new building because they thought that the expense was too much, which was about 4 or 5 million, I think.
It was approximately $4 to $5 million to put in.
So we looked at lots of options. They brought the 3 best to meetings where we all toured the 3 best options, or what I guess the board thought was the 3 best options. We looked at those, we compared the prices, and I mean, as a board, we voted that this was the best option from what we explored. So I don't know why we would incur more expense into looking at this when we've spent months looking at this.
I would really like it if Carl was off his 1-minute phone call that he had to make.
Well, can I go back to Kelly's point? Let me reiterate what she's saying. It looks like, what's gonna happen here, we put this on hold, is this gonna end up costing us more for this project? Because what ended up happening was, as Kelly just said, we looked at numerous facilities, and this was by far the most inexpensive option. And, we're gonna need administration buildings. Obviously, we're gonna need it. The new school's more than halfway done. We're gonna need that on board. And my question is, are we looking for wiggle room here? Are we saying to the contractor, yeah, sure, we told you we were gonna give you this deal, this bid, you got the project, you came in, you presented, we did all that. Now we're gonna tell you, listen, we're on hold, so don't you do anything else, and don't you make any other plans, because they're not beholden to us at that point. That's what I'm saying. They're not beholden to us at all. If we say to them, I know we said we gave you the bid, but now we're not gonna. We're gonna take a look at this, see what we can come up with, see if we can do something better. And they say, all right, you go ahead and do that. We're moving on, because we got mouths to feed too, and we got a business to run. We're not gonna wait around for you guys to decide what you wanna do. Once again, out of all the options we looked at, this was the most inexpensive, and also the closest to both the junior high and high school. And it wasn't a cost of $4 million, and it wasn't a cost of $3 million to fix up another building, and it wasn't a cost of this and this and this. Once again, I understand what you're saying. I see the complex issue that's in front of us, but what I'm saying is, the prior board did do their due diligence, spent hours, if not days, doing that. And if you have some magic wand, you're gonna wait.
Well, I just feel that
I
as a
wasn't
new board
done.
member, I'm not questioning your due diligence that was done by the past board. I
Ms.
am saying that as a new
Ms.
board
Green,
member.
can he just cut me off? Can he just cut me off?
He was responding to what you
No,
said.
I didn't ask him a question. I made a comment.
I apologize.
I hope that we're gonna follow some decorum. I am complete.
I worked on other boards, and I guess I'm used to doing in other ways, but I'll adjust to this. But no, this is a motion to put this on hold. It may end up that this is the best option, but the issue is a very contentious issue. The new school, the administrative offices, change orders. Now as a board, we gotta get together. We gotta convince each other.
Is that what we're doing?
That this is the best way to go. I'm more concerned about keeping teachers than where administrative offices are housed.
Remember that come contract time.
Do you want me to briefly address that? Last week, when I was asked, like, what is the status, you know, that Mr. Cruz asked, and I reached out to David Albright, and without reiterating everything, just said, okay, I'm a little slow to catch up. I'm gonna have to sign agreements. I know we made recommendations to change in an effort, as I shared with the board before, to cut off some liability, because these are standard AIA agreements that are never in the owner's, your guys' best interest. So my son and I did work on those. Mr. Albright did incorporate those. As far as the correspondence that came from, Mr. Albright, I can have that correspondence, my email to him, red line version, another email that I sent to him, earlier today in his response back, I can give that to everybody. There are provisions in there, but we did ensure that in the supplemental conditions, that if the contract was terminated, you know, because you have to read the tea leaves, you know, the board's changing, you know, the winds are shifting, the way it's written now, that, they would get, you know, amounts of monies that they had expended up to the date of termination. That doesn't mean that they won't litigate it, but if they litigate it, would be in a court of common pleas. But I would say you would probably want to bring the architect to the table, and at least his communication to me is he's not sure what that would mean on the bids that we received. But tomorrow morning, Dr. Createl will give everybody's email, everybody gets the same communication. I can work with the two board officers, Mrs. Green and Dr. Lloyd, and if you guys would want to meet tomorrow, sometime after 8:30, have a conference call at 8, you want to roll in, I'll share everything I have with you before you just decide to put it on hold, because once you put it on hold and then they start up again, you might incur some additional costs. Remember, the bids on this were roughly about $472 for HVAC. I'm trying to think, the plumbing was 50 and change, and there was one other one, and I think it's a little short of $1 million. Mr. Albright indicated that he'd be willing to work with the board as well to reach out to the contractors, because as I said to him clearly in writing, that the new board may go in a different direction, and I just want to know what all that would mean. He said that it might be a little difficult, but he clearly understands. So that's where it is as of 4:22 p.m. today, trying to get that answer for the 5:30 board.
But if we just put it on hold, wouldn't that prevent us from incurring any more expenses for and go out and buy anything?
If you do directions to put it in hold with further clarification, that communication will go to Dave Albright immediately. And whatever it is, it's case sera sera. You know what I mean? At least it's like freeze tag. Everybody can stay in place, and then, but I would say that the board, as a collective group, should move post haste to see what that means, because they have contractors, they have subs, you know, a lot of people are gearing up to get the materials and get rolling on renovations to that building.
So basically, Frank, if I'm getting this right, all we want to do is put this on hold, see where we can save some money, because we're gonna end up building, we own the building. And we want to see where we can save the money, where we can slash some money, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how long will that take? You know, 2 weeks, a week, to look and see what they have right now, and see if we can cut? Would it be a week? When does the building and grounds people meet? Is there a place we can cut to make it, to cut 100,000 or 200,000?
Well, the changes to the parking lot, I want to say total close to, is it 70 or 90? That's leaving the ATM, and that's leaving the travel plan instead of replacing those, or taking those out and turning it into larger parking lot. Those two changes were deducts, and those were, I would save 108,000. Our actual redo of the inside of the building, we're in the process. I mean, our guys will get in there and they will cut the majority of the basement for the storage aspects. We already took the police offices out of it. We converted that into a training room, which is a big classroom, which is less expensive. So that's already a savings. The heating and cooling and the roof, it's a multifaceted building, meaning it was built in many phases. Very logically, the roof needs replaced, the HVAC needs redone. We have to do wiring to make sure that we have adequate wiring to run operations. So those pieces are there. There isn't a lot of wall building except for putting in student registration. moving student registration over. There is some small bits, but the biggest piece of the actual contract is the HVAC and then the roof. Because those are the two big issues. There's a small plumbing contract, there's a moderate sized electrical because of the wiring that has to be done with the Cat 6.
You can do it, I would just say move post haste, and then you might have to convert the December 16th meeting to a voting meeting to undo it and allow it to go ahead, but I would say the quicker you work on it, the less downtime, mobilization, all that kind of stuff, if you do approve it.
Can I ask a question on this? What if the contractor says, all right, I've got no confidence in you that you're gonna pay this? And they say, we want no part of this. And then we have to reopen everything, do all the bids again. Quite frankly, if I'm a contractor, I'm gonna look at this and say, I'm not gonna bother with this. I'm not gonna waste my time with this. Because there's a chance I'm not gonna get paid, and there's a chance I'm gonna have to litigate.
They can't just break the contract either, it's a two-way street.
I hear you.
There's penalties for both sides, so they just say, I don't like you out to the school, I'm walking away, and then you have to pay somebody else, then you can say, well, maybe we're gonna go after you for the difference in increased cost. I'm just saying, before it goes down that path, I would just say, meet with the architect, get the facilities committee, see what we can do, and do it in the shortest amount of time we can possibly do that.
Yeah, whatever cost is incurred, we're on the hook for no matter what.
Absolutely.
So, I think if the new board members want to look at this, see what they can cut, it's fine. I think we have people who voted already on it, and let the people decide. You know, just let the new members look at it. Probably should have been over since for the new board members, but some new board members can look at it and see if they can cut anything or any cost could be cut.
If you make it during the day, someday this week, you can get Dave Albright in here, I know he said he's ready, let's do it sooner than later.
I agree.
What about Thursday? Not at noon.
Is this for the whole board?
Make it.
Cause I'll be out of town Thursday and Friday, I'm out of town.
Let me just,
In the evening, I'm talking about during the day. There's a press conference here.
Press conference at noon, so they'll tie us up from 11:30 to 1. Yeah, inside.
just, I can do it before that or after that. I can only send my son to some far country for a reorganization, like 2.5 hours away. This is the week,
Is Thursday good for you? Okay.
You have time?
Thursday's not good for you, Kelly, is it?
Either before or after the press conference, either, it doesn't matter.
Morning would be better. Morning would be better.
What
I
time?
already made mine, so.
You give us some time and, we'll work on Dave Albright first thing in the morning.
So then this is only for the new members who were elected. The people who are already voted yes and no on this don't even need to attend.
It's open to any board member.
Then I can't be there, neither can Kelly, so you can't have it.
Thursday, it's open at the,
Doesn't mean you have to come.
Doesn't matter, if we're gonna do this right, either we're gonna have the old board there and do it, or we're not.
It's
And if
going
we're
to-
not, we're gonna,
I think you only need a majority of the board, you don't need the whole board, just like a meeting, you don't need the whole board for a meeting. If you have if they want the majority of the board there, the majority of the board rules. So if you and Kelly or I can't make it, it's still majority of the board, it's their decision.
God,
We'll make a recommendation, who's ever there, and you'll come back and we'll
That's
vote
fine.
on it.
I think it's fine.
it's not a voting meeting, it's
I think it's just gotta
information.
be done very, very quickly.
Yeah, you're not gonna vote at that meeting, it's just to get all the information
Right.
out. And I can also tell you, that we're also allowed to have an informational meeting with the architect before you go out and have a public facilities meeting, so he at least can tell you everything where you're at. And then the rest of it is about the public, so you know where you might stand. But he should be able to have that done. This is new territory for him.
hold it. Can you 30 minutes?
I'm okay with that.
I'm texting this today, so hopefully we'll be able to do Thursday morning.
Okay, Thursday morning, 8 to 11, is there a time of 11 to 1?
I told him 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Okay, that's
Third is
good.
fine.
Okay, that works. Okay, any other comment from the board on this? Okay, we have to ask for public comment if anyone would like to comment on this issue, because this is something that was not on the agenda.
My name is Bill. My name is Bill Segler, 1889 Bellmead Drive. I understand the board wants to do due diligence. We put off bids on the high school and it cost us an extra $1 million because the prices still went up. Being on the facility committee, we have a really hard time getting contractors to do certain stuff for us. We call lots of contractors, only a few get back to us because the school district kind of has a bad reputation. And so this is something else to look forward here. You might be able to put off this contract and the contractor might litigate, you might get out of it with only paying a couple $100,000 or $300,000. But it's the damage done to the reputation of the school district, which means that all future contracts, people will add to the bid prices, because we do that in my business. We're a contractor. We have a problem company, you always have to put that fudge factor in, because you know it's cost more money to do business with them. And so that's something else to think. You might be saving yourself a couple $100,000 doing it this way, but it'll come back and bite you in the ass later on, because the contractors will add to it.
Any other comments?
I just like, where's it say that the Altoona School District reputation is bad on contractors? I've never heard that.
Get to a facility meeting, talk to Doug.
I'd rather talk to the actual contractors. I'd rather talk to Fury, Brianna, or somebody like that, and say that they want to do business with the Altoona School District. I don't want to talk to Doug. I want to talk to people that
Doug's
actually
the
make
one
the bid.
who's making.
Well, I don't care. I want to see what the contractor says.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Mr. Baker?
No.
Mrs. Breen?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Hoff?
Abstain?
Mr. Hoover?
No.
Mrs. Irwin Adams?
No.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Dr. Malloy?
Yes.
Passes 5-3 and 1 abstention.
Okay. Motion carried then. Do you need that?
Not yet. I'm having issues. I have to get to a cell number. My phone is not cooperating.
Okay, the next item is the board member conference, which is gonna be held in State College, and it's required training for new board members and returning board members. It's gonna involve, Dr. Frank Malloy, Mr. Mike Baker, Mrs. Sharon Green, and Mr. Ron Johnston, and there is no cost to the district. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Favor? Sure.
I have other events that day, but I'm going to plan to be up for a chunk of the day.
Oh, okay.
So I won't be there for the beginning, but I will get myself there as quickly as I can.
Okay, then we're gonna add Dr. Priatel.
No, it doesn't, there's no cost to that.
Right, right. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Collection of delinquent real estate taxes. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Explain this a little bit, Susan.
This is the contract to use a third party to collect our delinquent real estate taxes. Currently, the Blair County Tax Bureau collects our delinquent tax outside agency that will, to use their words, put a little bit more teeth in the collection process. So to encourage taxpayers to pay their real estate taxes in a timely manner.
Any questions, comments? All in agreement? Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, personnel items. I have a motion.
So moved. We need to pull one, I believe, is that correct?
You need a second.
Sorry.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Which, is it Dana Lynn,
Item C, number 2.
item C number 2 is pulled. She rescinded her offer.
Say item 2. Oh, okay.
That person has declined the offer.
Now, is that a replacement position or is that a newly
That
created?
is a replacement position.
Okay. And there's another one in here for the business office. Is it a replacement or a,
None of these positions are new, they're all replacement.
so we had 2 people leave the business office.
Right.
Any comments?
I have a question under the athletics. We have a guy who's resigning as a assistant wrestling coach, and then he's gonna be hired for $4,000 a year as an assistant wrestling coach.
He's resigning from the junior high school and moving to the high school.
And he makes $4,000.
That's what the assistant coaching position is for resigning high school, junior high school. Or excuse me, for senior high school assistant. Yes.
That was actually my question too. Is that the correct salary?
It is.
Okay. Seems higher than I remember.
It's insane.
Let me verify.
No, he didn't.
I actually had the same question when Phil sent him over.
Well,
Said, why are we approving?
I know that the assistant football coaches make that, but I thought there were different tiers of different sports, and I didn't think that was at the same tier.
Football, girls and boys basketball should all be at the same tier. I'm not sure whether wrestling falls into that same tier or not.
That was my only, I had the same
Well, it'll
question.
be corrected at the next meeting, or no? I've
We
seen that
will
happen.
correct it.
Then I would, if you're gonna vote on it, put it subject to, correction or clarification.
Subject to clarification.
Okay, so B, item 2 is going to be subject to clarification.
Under athletics, B, item 2. Stipend subject to clarification.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tax assessment appeal. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any comment?
So I have a question. This was in the outside mirror recently. I didn't think it was finalized. It was just in the other day, they said there's fighting their $12.8 million reassessment.
They were fighting their $12.8 million assessed value. They had an assessment which was significantly lower. We had an assessment that we had done that was approximately $9 million. And the attorney, which was Crystal Edwards, at Beard's office, was in the process of negotiating. They came to a settlement of $8.4 million as an assessed value. And the county, everyone is pretty much recommending that all the attorneys involved are recommending that we accept the settlement.
It was just in the paper, that's why I was surprised it was on our agenda already. So, that's
Well, I'm surprised it was in the paper before it was in the agenda.
But it's in, that we're fighting it, that we're joining with another taxing authority, I'm not sure if it was the county or the township, and we were fighting this assessment, is what the paper said, and that was like a day ago.
Well, that was, if it had gone to court, we've negotiated a settlement prior to it going into the court system.
If you couldn't resolve this stage, next step would have been to trial for one of the existing judges or a visiting judge. So I don't know how course got before the court, card or whatever. I just, in the scheme of things. But Dr. Triatel's correct. As you know how these things work, they always go, they get a little low, they fight the existing, we come in, people look at it and say, time expense, money, judges are gonna say, why is this being brought before me? Can't you resolve it? And then whichever judge would be assigned that would say, really, bring this in front of me, can't get it resolved. Since all the other taxing bodies were in agreement with it, just not the attorneys, but everybody who does real estate tax appeals thought that was a fair and reasonable value, and that's why it was.
So approximately how much taxes?
That has to be answered with that.
So the difference, it would be the difference between that 12.1 million and the 8.4 million, so what is that, 6 million?
3.7 million.
Yeah, times 0.62, sorry, I should have calculated that, thanks. 2 seconds. About $37,000 approximately. That's what,
Thanks.
that's round figures.
Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Madam President, real quick on this business. I just got an email yesterday about the mansion park being closed to walkers from December 2nd through March. Is that true? Why is that?
Cost and liability. We've
We've been doing this for years. Is there all of a sudden there became a liability?
We talked about it at facilities.
I wasn't there. I just want to know about it. We've been doing it for years. Years. The taxpayers paid for that facility. I know 50,000, I know we're saving 50,000 now. But, I'm just curious why you're doing it. Was that approved by the board?
Yes.
It was, the facilities committee, we brought to the facilities committee to discuss. We have manpower, and we also have the fact that the liability of keeping it clean and keeping it open.
Walkers don't walk when it's snowing. How many years has Mansion Park been out there, and all of a sudden, we're getting liability? Carl, can you help me with this?
The only way that you would have liability if it would be an unsafe condition. Now, quite honestly, if it's sleet, you have an inch of ice on there, you would probably say track closed to walkers today. But other than that, it's just unsafe condition, like you had a big hole and you fall in it, big concrete, somebody trips and falls, but I mean, nothing out of the ordinary that you won't get walking across the parking lot.
That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, it's not right to walk out of Mansion. And we do have people walk out of Mansion. So if tomorrow's gonna be okay to walk, and you're gonna say you're gonna close the track, it's not right. These people pay for that facility. You don't have the junior high, and you don't have the track here anymore. And people don't wanna walk inside all the time. They wanna walk outside. So, if this was approved by the board, it wasn't. The board approved it.
It wasn't on vote.
I'd like to make a motion that this month, I'd like to rescind that whole date, December to March 2nd, that we can't use the track.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I understand. I have a question also. Doug, how many maintenance people do we have out at the mansion? As of like right now?
3.
Could we get away with one out there, and if it's pouring down rain, ice, snow, unsafe conditions, the liability factor, could we put a sign up closed today or, until the nice weather? Because I got a lot of phone calls on this on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm with Dave on this. We lost our playground down here. You know, people like to walk outside, you got the bathrooms, you know, there's joggers, you know, they stop in, go to the bathroom, get something to drink and move on. Weather permitting, I would like to see that stay open.
I have two other questions. You say it takes 3 men or 3 workers at Mansion Park. How many workers would be required if we did not permit walking?
Well, the plan was to take those folks, especially like during the winter sports months, bring them in to wherever we needed them throughout the district. December, we have a lot of vacations with people trying to use up their vacation so they don't lose it. So a lot of openings. Those folks out there are floating custodians. We can put them wherever throughout the district and change their schedule basically without notice versus our other contractors.
What do they do with walkers? I mean, do they?
Well, they clean the restrooms every day. They got to move snow before the walkers can come in. You know, if you do have icy conditions, they have to get salt down everywhere. They are doing their winter cleaning, which is equivalent to the summer cleaning in the schools. So they're doing a super spick and span in all the locker rooms and all the other areas out there, coaches' rooms, what have you. But that was the whole thing. I mean, if you're gonna have it open, you know, maybe you can modify the hours that it's open and restrict that. But if you're gonna open at daybreak and close at 10 o'clock, which is what our normal hours are, you've got to, there are 2 people there just open and close the park.
So other than cleaning the restrooms and taking care of the snow and ice removal, you would have to have people there anyways to clean, do the winter cleaning.
Yes, but last year, I think they ended up, I think in a month and a half or 2 months, they were totally clean and could come out of there and be placed elsewhere.
I personally don't walk there, but when I have, I've noticed a lot of senior citizens, I've noticed a lot of people with young children, and I think it's a very popular place because people consider it to be safe. And I agree with Dave and Ron that this is a community facility, and our taxpayers do expect something back, and that is a way to give back by the school district.
So is Dave's motion that we could close it on bad days at least though, so we wouldn't have to salt and use snow removal?
All the years that I have known Mansion Park, when it snows, people don't go out. If it's icy, people don't go out.
Carl, if people do go out and they do get hurt and they blame it on the lack of snow removal or the lack of the fact that the ice wasn't removed, are we then liable because we have it open?
I'm not gonna say never. I thought Mr. Johnston's recommendation relative to weather permitting, so if you get 6 inches of snow or you get ice and somebody eyeballs it like you do in the streets when you call school because the buses can't travel, somebody should make a call that it would not be safe to walk on those days. That way, in the event that somebody go out there in the fall and say, well, it was an unsafe condition, at least you can say, well, we posted it, you know, track closed today. Somebody would have to make that call. That's a common sense thing. It's the board's prerogative, but I'm just saying.
I agree with that.
I have to say, I don't have a strong opinion one way or another, but the reason that they thought of doing it, because they talked at the facilities committee meeting about doing it, was I think it saved $14,000 and that they could use the manpower in other needed locations when we were short.
That was exactly it.
So the only month you'd be short would be the month of December for vacations.
Not
So you have-
necessarily,
you have
because we're short.
3 people out there. So you could at least keep one. And then if Ron said, you know, put, you know, if it's bad weather, doesn't design track foot.
We can also, well, this is one of the reasons we brought up the facilities, we wanted to have this discussion there, but that's fine. We could always just, we can say we're gonna open at daylight only. And I mean by daylight, I mean, we're gonna open from 8 to 4, we're gonna do a shift.
Yeah, that I agree with, I don't think you want to open, I agree.
I mean, if we do that, then then anyone who wants to use it has to go in that time frame. But at the same time, we are gonna have to clean things and that kind of thing. We're gonna have that kind of outlay, but we'll have a person on site to do it. And if that would be more palatable to the board, the only thing I shy away from is having it open on holidays when we're paying triple time or 2.5 times just to have the park open. I mean, that gets a little pricey.
Yeah, there's second thing is PR. There's good PR and there's bad PR. And I think this board should look at some good PR right now.
Well, then if it pleases the board, we'll make sure we have it open daylight, and we'll open it, what's the hours?
We can set the hours of whatever you want.
So we can set a shift, and we'll open a daylight shift, and we'll man it for that, and we'll use the personnel elsewhere to cover, absences and other things we need to fill schedule-wise.
Daylight shift in the winter.
So we'll run daylight in the winter, and we'll run day, because it'll be like 8 AM to 4. And that way, it'll be open. I mean, we don't have walkers before 8 o'clock, do we?
Well, then the good one you do.
Then you go, what do you say, 7 to 3, 6 to 2?
One time the men get there.
Well, they're gonna work to schedule their son.
Well, what time are they there now?
Well, on a normal shift, they start at 6:30 in the morning.
Well, that's right there.
6:30 in the shift, they're running 8.5 hours, right?
8.5, yeah.
Because you have half hour unpaid lunch, so that would take it 3 o'clock. So we open it up 6. Yeah, great, they're gonna send the insurance again.
So it starts getting light out about 7:15. Would you still wanna go at 6:30?
It's up to their walk, so they want to be there at 6:30, the men are there.
Okay.
They're gonna have to open it up. The guy's gonna get on. He's not gonna have the place unlocked in in 10 minutes. It's a big facility. So we'll do daylight.
Tell you, just listen to hear what everyone's, their suggestions. I like to compromise what we're doing here. This is good. This is good PR for us.
It's not a problem. We'll just do it that way. We'll run daylight shift. And we'll do the same for Saturday and Sunday. We'll just run daylight, 6:30 to 3. If everybody's good with that, you don't need to vote on it. We'll have it. It'll work.
Well, so we don't need to open that up to the community to speak on that topic?
No, it's not requiring a board vote. But that's the action we'll take.
Moving on, there are 3 items for information only, which is board member list, facilities committee meeting summary, and finance committee meeting summary. And other comments, employee union response.
Good evening, my name is Doug Rosenberry. I'm the president of the Optimum Area Education Association. That is the teachers union, obviously teachers, counselors, nurses, and others that are members of our unit. First of all, I'd just like to congratulate the new members of the board for taking their seats here this evening. Also, I'd like to thank the current members for continuing to serve in this respect. We certainly look forward to working together to provide the best education for the young people of our community that is possible. Now, with that being said, there are many clubs and activities that are provided to enhance the educational experience offered to our students in the Optimum Area School District. And that is at all levels. That's secondary and elementary. And really what I came here tonight to talk about was what is an inequity as far as advisor stipends is concerned between the secondary level and the elementary level. But also to point out a lot of the good work that teachers are doing outside of their regular hours, again, to provide a good educational experience for the students. So I'm an English teacher here, so I had a handout that I passed around. So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that handout, I put together just a little listing here of what is currently available in our collective bargaining agreement, that's our contract, and in Appendix A that outlines the extra duty advisor stipends. If you just take a look real quick, you can see that there are roughly 98 positions offered to the secondary level. So that's junior high and high school teachers, and only 21 positions offered to elementary teachers. And then I also did some rudimentary math. I think the math is pretty good there as far as the amount of money that is being spent on those stipends. So if you take a look at the fact that with 98 positions at the secondary level, stipends amounting to a little over $200,000, and 21 positions at the elementary level, and stipends amounting to only around $25,000, that's about 10%. That the elementary teachers are really being provided as far as extra duty stipend advisor positions, as opposed, as far as the overall expenditure goes. I listed then below, if you take a look at where it says elementary clubs activities without stipends, I listed there a lot of the great work that our elementary teachers are doing, again, outside of regular school hours. A lot of these are taking place at night. Some of these clubs even are taking place on the weekends, or taking kids to competitions, and they're getting no compensation whatsoever for the hundreds of hours that they're putting in, again, to offer a better educational experience for our students. That being said, and mentioning the inequity, there are certainly a lot of new secondary clubs and activities that, again, many teachers are doing those really on a voluntary basis at this point. That are bringing a lot of big, talk about good PR. We have some of our robotics teams are going to competitions and bringing home awards. Great PR for the STEM programs that we're now offering here. And so there's just a kind of an overview of some of the activities that, again, folks are volunteering their time for. So what I really came to do is just to bring this to the attention of the board. About 2 months ago, I did send a letter through Dr. Priatel requesting at least two new positions, 2 drama positions at the elementary level, which I think those were denied. However, one position, I think Patty Burlingame was able to pull together some money from donations from the community to offer at least one new drama position at Penn Lincoln Elementary. But again, these are all activities that we know the more we get our kids involved in, the better experience they have, the more well-rounded they are, and the better student that we turn out once their experience is all done. So I look forward to maybe talking to you further about the possibility of adding some stipends and really rewarding teachers for a lot of the hard work they're doing. If we can sit here and debate whether it takes 2 men, 2 hours to put a whiteboard, and there's no debate here that these people are putting in a lot of time, and we know that the time they're putting in is very valuable. So thank you.
Any comment from middle management? Solicitor's comment?
Just congratulations for all those that are coming back and all those that are new, and look forward to working with you throughout the rest of this calendar year and fiscal year and on into the future.
And we owe thanks to Dutch and Bill for their time on the board. I think that should be noted.
Great point.
Thank you.
And that's all volunteer.